When does life actually begin? If you base your answer and argument on a religious point of view and say that it begins during or after a short time span after conception, then you're right. If you gravitate your views towards various traditional cultures and say that life begins after initiation into adulthood, which is usually at the onset of puberty, then you are also right. Hell, even if you base your argument on modern-day beliefs and say that life begins at the age of 40, you might also be right, as there is no single definitive answer to this question. But all these answers are derived from one common ground, and that is that life begins when we start feeling and experiencing emotions that are key to defining what type of person you are and what kind of life you're going to have. The difference only comes in when we start asking ourselves, when do we start understanding our emotions? The only fact to come out of this argument is that it is a complex question that is going to be around long after we are gone, but thankfully we have art, which has always had a way of communicating complex ideas and thoughts to the beholder. So with film being a diverse visual form of art, it always has a field day trying to tackle this question from all the aforementioned perspectives, and today we are going to look at the best films to execute this query perfectly. So as we also try to nurture and understand our channel during its early stages of growth, the audience chair presents to you our picks for the top 10 coming-of-age films of all time. But before we jump right in, kindly subscribe to our channel and also leave a like if you are feeling the video and the picks. Now, let's get right into it. Number 10. Lady Bird. East or West? Home is always the best, but my God, if moving out isn't a top 3 day in any young adult's life, then I don't know what cracks the list. The freedom and sense of adventure that comes with it is a once-in-a-lifetime canon event that sadly only lasts a short period of time before you come to the realization that maybe this bachelor gig isn't all it's hyped up to be. You start missing your home and even the things that annoyed you the most, like your parents' constant obsession with your life. But it's chicken to go back, as it is a necessary step in building your life and all you can do is power through it. But this growth helps you in better understanding yourself and the people in your life, and this entire event can only be summed up as paradoxical. We go through all these phases with the character of Lady Bird, a young woman who itches to leave the mundane world and people of Sacramento and take on the world after graduating high school and moving on to college. Number 9. Dazed and Confused. On the surface, this looks like your typical high school coming-of-age comedy film that doesn't follow the traditional plot, but that last tiny detail is what separates this film from others that have a similar premise and ultimately lands it on our list. The film doesn't have the typical plot of having one character as the protagonist, but instead focuses on the idea of being a teenager as a whole. The film equally bases its focus on a number of colorful characters ranging from freshmen, jocks, and nerds to stoners and postgraduates, all trying to navigate the last day of the school year after the main party gets canceled. Number 8. Boys in the Hood. This 1991 poignant film provides a raw glimpse into the gritty life and upbringing in the minority neighborhoods. It centers its entire premise around 3 characters who inadvertently become products and victims of the hard, unforgiving neighborhood of South Central Los Angeles. The characters, though different in terms of nature, build a strong friendship that lasts from childhood till they are all grown up. These differences in their characters stem from their different upbringings and the impact the environment had on the people raising them. The film's message is timeless, and to simply classify the film as just another quote-unquote hood movie isn't doing it any justice, as it is an important piece of American history. Number 7. The Motorcycle Diaries. When we hear of stories that drove great men into becoming revolutionaries, we often expect the same story of them being affected by the cause they are fighting against on a personal level. But for the legend that is the face of every man who loves freedom, the story is quite contrary. On December 1951, medical student Ernesto Rafael Guevara and his friend Alberto Granado hopped on a single motorcycle for a cross-country odyssey across South America. The trip was full of ups and downs, and their interactions with the defeated and oppressed indigenous people they came across had a long-lasting impact on both men. This is what would eventually kickstart the growth of Ernesto into an immortalized revolutionary by the name Che Guevara. With the impact Shay had on the world, it's not hyperbole to say that this motorcycle trip was one of the most important road trips of all time. So in 2004, based off Shay's memoirs of this trip, a biopic meant to honor and preserve this trip was released, and throughout the film we see the factors that came to change a young upper-middle-class medical student to Che Guevara, the most iconic revolutionary of all time. Number 6. The Florida Project. Only 2 exits away from Disney World, the quote-unquote happiest place in the world, lies a vibrant motel known as the Magic Castle Inn. Even with a surreal surrounding made possible by the wonderful motel manager Bobby, the hotel serves as a last resort to families that have fallen headfirst into the unending depths of financial woes. One of those families living there is a young single mother known as Hallie and her 6-year-old daughter Mooney. Holly, even though she can barely make ends meet, cares and always tries to provide for her daughter by whatever means possible. But Mooney, on the other hand, is the pure embodiment of pure innocent bliss. Even after being exposed to the harsh truth of reality early on in her life, she makes do with what cards she is dealt with and finds joy with the moments she shares with her friends and mother. Together with the symbolic monuments surrounding them, Mooney's innocent bliss and Hallie's awareness to the harsh realities of poverty are juxtaposed together to bring out a stark contrast between reality and childlike fantasy. Number 5. Boyhood. For Richard Linklater's second entry on our list, we follow the life of a young boy named Mason, a child of divorce who navigates the many complexities of life from childhood to adolescence to early adulthood. What sets Boyhood apart from others on this list is its unique production and filming process that took place over the course of 12 years. This allowed actors to be filmed at the various stages of aging and covered 12 years of life with impeccable acting, all within a runtime of just 163 minutes. Number 4. Moonlight. Even without the controversy surrounding its Best Picture win at the Oscars, Moonlight was bound to become a household name. The powerhouse acting, direction, and cinematography gently grabs us and gracefully dances with us to the sad tune that is the life of Sharon. Split into 3 phases of Sharon's life, we see a young man struggling with his identity, masculinity, and sexuality being ridiculed by the majority of people in his life until he is eventually forced down a path that was contrary to what was meant for him. Even though a few people accepted and encouraged him to be who he is, the masses outweighed those few till eventually the beautiful and innocent Sharon transitioned into black. Number 3. Stand By Me. As an adult, Gordy reflects and narrates a tale from his childhood on how he and his 3 friends embarked on a journey through the woods to find the remains of a deceased kid. Throughout the 2-day trip, the boys face issues on personal identity, family, and friendship together, and by the time they come out of the woods, their bond is stronger than ever. As he reflects on the various physical and internal challenges they faced, we see the boys transitioning from childhood to adolescence by the end of their journey. Number 2. Cinema Paradiso. Famous film director Salvatore De Vita returns home for the burial of Alfredo, the local film theater projectionist, and also the man who nurtured and ushered in his love for cinema. He looks back on his life as a young boy from a humble background falling in love with cinema and finding solace in the screen. The film is the embodiment of a cinephile's dream and the story of Salvatore De Vita, going from a poor boy sneaking into theaters to eventually owning the big screen and falling in love with it all over again, is a tearjerker for the ages. Number 1. The 400 Blows. Widely regarded as one of the best films in cinema history, The 400 Blows introduced the world to a style of filmmaking that prioritized realism and character development. The film follows a juvenile navigating the complex stages of puberty as he is being neglected at home and in school. He eventually leaves school and his home to navigate the streets of Paris and sees it as he's never before all while slowly delving into a life of petty crimes.